during this draft. Shady, you have been very loud about your feelings about Dak Prescott as a quarterback, but this is interesting because this is the deepest quarterback draft that we have seen maybe ever, at least in a very long time, 2 decades or so. Would it be crazy for the Cowboys to draft a quarterback?
Before I give you my take, I like to pat myself on the back sometimes.
What for?
Not a lot, but sometimes. Did I not say this?
Not a lot.
Why would they want to pay Dak right now? Yeah, I thought I was tripping. Yeah. All pro this, all pro that.
That's what we sound like.
And they didn't pay him for a reason. Jerry finally sees what I see. Anyway, I would love for them to draft a quarterback.
Okay.
Right? Because I will give the Cowboys some credit from getting a guy like Tony Romo, right? Wasn't a high draft pick at all.
At all.
Getting a guy like Dak Prescott, right? Fourth round. So you show you can develop these guys. Even if you don't get a number one type of guy, they develop them. And I think that for this team to get to where they need to be at, they can have Dak because he's shown what he can do. In the postseason, he doesn't show up. Maybe against the Bucs, that's what 9-8 at the time with Tom Brady. They kind of got it there. They won that game. But then when we need them most against the big dogs, they can deliver. And we've seen that this year against the Packers. So if you want to win and go to the promised land, right, with all these other players you have to pay, like CeeDee Lamb, like I don't think they're going to play around with him because he's that good. They need him. Parsons, you already said that Zach Martin, they got some paper. So if it's the Cowboys and Jerry Jones, man, if you want to get back to some old days in the 90s where you was running things, you got to move on from Dak Prescott. Because if not, you're going to do great in the regular season. Playoff time comes, you know what he does.
I don't think it's crazy for to draft a quarterback if you have Dak Prescott.
I love it.
It's crazy for the Cowboys because the Cowboys never do that. Dak Prescott, 4th-round pick, Tony Romo undrafted. Last time the Cowboys spent a high draft pick on a quarterback was 2001 Quincy Carter out of Georgia in the 2nd round. But the smartest thing the Cowboys could do is draft a quarterback because Noah didn't wait till it started raining to build an ark. Don't wait until you need something to go get something. I think about the Chiefs. You had Alex Smith. You draft Pat Mahomes. Think about the Packers, James Jones twice. You had Brett Favre, you draft Aaron Rodgers. You have Aaron Rodgers, you draft Jordan Love. I think about the Niners, though it did not work. You had Jimmy Garoppolo, you draft Trey Lance. You don't wait until you need something to go get something. It's either easier to get a job while you have a job. And so it's easier to get a quarterback while you have a quarterback because then you're not pressed to play the quarterback. The smartest thing the Cowboys could do is draft a quarterback, not to replace Dak Prescott yesterday, maybe not even to replace him tomorrow, but to replace him in the future. It's smart to do it. It would be crazy for the Cowboys to do it, though, because they never do it, Joy Taylor.
Was that, you got that one accurate? Feel like the Bible guy with the boats. Jerry got a boat. Jerry got a boat.
Yeah. You know I'll be reading my Bible.
So maybe he's on the boat making
my hood Bible.
I was about to say, I ain't never read the hood Bible.
Jerry kind of got an arc. You could probably fit 2 of every.
What the hood Bible look like?
Yeah, what the?
Man, y'all ain't hear about the hood Bible.
What's the hood Bible?
Every kid in the hood went to that little Sunday school where it was just, they tell you the Bible stories and they add a little bit to it.
Let me just ask, what is your favorite verse in the hood Bible? Like, what's your favorite verse?
He told it, the one where the boats came by.
But that was a story. I need your favorite, like, what's your favorite verse?
That's a whole Bible story.
I promise you, because a lot of viewers want to hear about the Cowboys all the time, so I make sure before the show's over, I'm going to give my best
hood Bible
stories.
Bet, I'm with it.
Well, on Jerry's boat,
I don't know if you hear me.
Or arc, he should be thinking about drafting a quarterback. I don't think it's crazy at all for them to be drafting a quarterback. I actually think most teams should, every couple years, draft a quarterback in the mid to late rounds. Even if you do have a franchise quarterback, because this is a position where you need to be constantly developing. And as we know, backup quarterbacks are at a premium. Even if you develop a backup quarterback that you don't end up using at any point, you can trade them. So there's an extreme value to this position being drafted. I don't think they should draft him at 24. That part I disagree with for multiple reasons. One, you got a whole lot of other needs. You need a running back, you need a center, a left tackle, a cornerback, a linebacker. You need some other pieces here that you really could use a first rounder at some of those positions. I do think they should take a quarterback in the mid to late round, somebody that, could sit for a year, because they're not going to play this year anyway. Dak's going to play this year, so somebody that could come in, sit behind Dak for a year, develop, see what happens with Dak's contract. Best case scenario, the Cowboys do something they haven't done in 30 years and actually win far enough in the postseason for it to matter. And then you figure it out later. But I do think that they should spend a draft pick in the mid to late rounds on a quarterback. Now, the problem with doing it in the first round is...
Get that extra year.
It's Dallas. I know this is a deep draft. I know it would sound enticing, But if you draft a quarterback in the first rounds, Cowboys fans are going to ask to see that rookie quarterback that you took in the first round the literal second that Dak Prescott does anything, which he will do because that's what football players do. That's what everyone does. He's not going to have a perfect season. He's going to throw an interception. He's going to have a fumble. He's going to have a bad game. And as soon as that happens, everyone's going to turn, as the Cowboys always do. Dak was out for 5 games, and they were talking about replacing him with Cooper Rush. You got a first-round quarterback in the building?
He did go 4-1.
And I hear you. So imagine if you've got a rookie quarterback, and if he's taken at 24, is going to be one of these guys that we've talked about for a few years.
Isn't it what you make it? Because you make a very interesting point. Before we get to you, James, you make an interesting point because I think they should spend on a quarterback, but I think they should spend early on a quarterback because if the Cowboys are drafting a quarterback, I would assume you're drafting one to be a game changer. A 4th-round pick, a 5th-round pick, you're just drafting to some degree Dak Prescott all over again. Keep in mind they just traded a 4th-round pick on Trey Lance, who they're hoping can be that game changer. Now, then, Joy, what is your thought process in drafting the mid? Because I'm saying you draft early, not because they're going to replace Dak, but you traded up for Mahomes. You drafted Jordan Love at the end of the first round. You had these people. You drafted. We didn't know how bad Joe Flacco was when you traded and you drafted Lamar. Keep in mind you drafted Hayden Hurst before you ever drafted Lamar. So my thought is actually draft one early, and the distraction is predicated upon Jerry. There was a distraction in Green Bay because of Aaron. There was no distraction in Kansas City. Now, there were murmurs. Yo, Pat is like that. Murmurs. But Andy was quiet and Pat was quiet. But Jerry started the Cooper Rush nonsense. I know I'd like to take credit. Shady, I'm sure you would like to take credit. It was Jerry who did it. So, like, what is there a point in drafting a mid?
Yeah, I said this yesterday, so I'm going to stick with this. I'm probably going to use this a lot now. Water is wet.
Yes.
Jerry Jones is just going to chill about a first-round quarterback. Like, what are we talking about? Shady, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? There's going to be drama. Jerry is a salesman.
True.
What's better than a first-round quarterback? Well, we're just going to let the young guy develop, but he's very promising. I'm not even trying to do a Jerry impersonation, but that's going to happen. I hear you. It would make sense. But what you're saying is you're announcing that you're moving on from Dak Prescott, especially because the first-round pick is extremely valuable. These other positions, you could get a first-round level talent at a position of need for the Cowboys. And also, where you are as an organization matters. Of course, we are all unsure about what Dak Prescott is capable of. But he was an all-pro last year.
Correct.
He is under contract for a lot of money this year. He's going to be your quarterback this year. You do have a very talented roster in place. So they're kind of in this win-now space where a rookie that you took at 24 could actually contribute to them ideally winning this year.
It's fascinating because, James, I hear what she's saying, and it leads me to say even more so, you draft the quarterback because you have the luxury to draft the quarterback because your roster's set. You need a running back, but as we all know, you can get the running backs in the third. You need a linebacker, but your linebacker you drafted in the 3rd round last year, he's coming back. He tore his ACL. You need a tackle. So maybe you spend the first on that. James, weigh in, because this is more fascinating than I thought.
We got to understand what you're trying to do, Jerry, because if you draft a quarterback in the 1st round, Dak's gone.
In time. Aaron Rodgers was gone 3 years later.
Aaron Rodgers won
Brett
the
Favre
MVP.
was gone 3 years later.
Aaron Rodgers won the MVP.
In time, though.
If you draft a 1st rounder, right, Dak Prescott, what are you going to sign, a 2-year deal? This is last year. Like, Aaron Rodgers still was under contract for a couple years. This is his last year. Like, what are you going to do with him next year? He's not signing no 2-year deal. He's going to sign a 4 to 5 year deal with a lot of money guaranteed, with probably no trade clause and all that funny stuff. So it's all about do you want to do with Dak Prescott? If you are thinking, hey, man, we're going to let Dak Prescott play this season out, and if he make a playoff run, we're going to sign him to an extension. But if you sign that 1st-round draft pick, it don't matter what Dak Prescott does. Dak Prescott is going to have to leave because that 1st-round quarterback is going to have to play. I don't know how true these rumors are, but I'm actually proud of the Dallas Cowboys because at least you have a plan. If you're not going to sign and extend Dak Prescott, which means you don't have 100% confidence in Dak Prescott's going to be your quarterback, what's next? So I would go draft a quarterback in the 1st round because obviously you're telling us that we are not too sure about Dak Prescott being the franchise quarterback of our football team because we are not trying to extend him. That's what you are saying. If I'm an all-pro player and you telling me you're not going to extend me, That's letting you know that, man, we are not too sure that we want you to be on our football team next year. Then you make it clearer when you draft a first-round quarterback to come in there because you know if you draft it in the first round, no matter who you back up, that's why Aaron Rodgers said it. When you draft it in the first, you got to play. Eventually, you have to play. No matter if I'm Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, Tom Brady, eventually the organization is drafting you in the first, you're going to have to play. So if they draft a quarterback in the first, that lets me know that this Dak Prescott last season.
Shady, let's focus on your team where you're the all-time rushing leader. In 2020, the Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts. It was 2020 season. You had Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz had just been a contestant for MVP. I think he finished third or fourth that year in the voting. He led his team to 11 wins before getting hurt. Nick Foles goes on to win a Super Bowl. You draft Hurts in the second, mid-second. Now Hurts has since been an all-pro player, hard to do all the things. Would it really make sense for the Cowboys, just for the future? Not even that you need this dude to play right now, but you've seen it. You've seen how it played out. Would it make sense for the future?
I think so. I think it makes sense for the future, but just because of, like, they're at a point where they're sick and tired of doing the same thing with the same quarterback. But then the other part is, like, he's our guy. We drafted him, and he's playing well, and we have a good team. We don't want to kind of rebuild again. They're in that space, and it's hard. It's like a unmovable object in the hard places.
Yep, unstoppable force.
So my thing is just, you got to wait and see. That's why they're waiting to pay him. Dak, listen, we love you. We believe in you. But you got to believe in yourself. You got to show us. You know what I'm saying? That's why they ain't paying him. So it's like, yo, we really want to pay you, but you haven't done enough to pay you yet. If you go all-pro, if you was third or second in the MVP voting, second. Think about that. Think about it for a second. Let me take these glasses off for a second. I know they look nice, but let me take them off for a second. Second as an MVP candidate, all-pro.
Hard to do.
And we still not paying you? Yeah. What is it?
That's what I'm saying. We don't want you.
It's because we love you, but you haven't done enough for us to pay you that money. So now it's like, do we worry about the future? And I think that's what it is right now. So I would say this. Draft a quarterback. I don't know if you have to go as far as a first rounder because they have shown in the past that, yo, you could turn in a fourth rounder to a...
But not to a Super Bowl champ. The last Super Bowl champ was a number one overall pick, if I'm not mistaken, in Troy.
Look at the signs, though. Look at the signs. All-pro, second in MVP, always going to win in the regular season and have you the opportunity to get to the playoffs to compete. And we're talking about not extending you.
It's not enough, James.
That's the signs that Dak Prescott, if they do draft a quarterback in the first, if you draft a quarterback in the second, third, and all that, if Dak Prescott plays well, who knows what's going to happen. You draft a quarterback in the first round, Dak Prescott is not going to be the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys next year.
No, he can't be.
Can't be.
He can't be unless
they win a Super Bowl.
Or he won an MVP.
Then talk to me, Joy and James, on this, because it's hard for me to hear y'all say he can't be definitive when in the last 2 years we've seen it. Rodgers. Now, Rodgers won MVP. Dak finished second in MVP. Rodgers had the second or third best season of his career, which was better than Dak's best season, but Dak had the best season. So when y'all say he can't be, it's hard for me to digest that.
If he wins an MVP.
Rodgers won MVP after they drafted Jordan Love. So that means this season, Dak Prescott will have to win an MVP.
We just said if he won an MVP or if he won a Super Bowl. I think even if he got to an NFC Championship game and they competed, in the NFC Championship.
But here's my question, though. It's like, okay, so is the difference between moving on from Dak and keeping Dak first place, second place in the MVP voting? If you win second, if you got second.
It's time.
It's time.
I thought about it, and I try to be like, it's time. And I can't do it. I was trying to do it, but I can't. It's time to move on. Yeah. Listen, Cowboys, right, Jerry, everybody in the front office, he showed you who he is. It took him 8 years to finally get it all-pro, right? Finally did it. Still wasn't enough. Yeah. As great as he played of all time in his career, they lose in the first round. Is that correct? Yeah. Am I tripping?
Not tripping.
It's time to move on. Go get your first-round draft pick. You trade Dak Prescott, one of these bad teams, they need a quarterback. Y'all switch off with the picks and all that, and take Dak, get a top pick. Go ahead and get a quarterback.
And this is another thing, too.
Washington.
Because we keep saying Aaron Rodgers' name. Number one, Aaron Rodgers won a Super Bowl.
Correct.
I don't care how dusty it is and all that. Number two, Aaron Rodgers had MVPs before Jordan Love got there, too. Correct. And then Aaron Rodgers won an MVP after Jordan Love.
But even before all that... Because they did all that and still drafted Jordan Love.
But what I'm saying, even before all that, when they drafted Jordan Love, Aaron, after accomplishing all that, Super Bowls, MVP, he knew the first-round quarterback has to play.
Correct.
So that's why I'm saying, if you saying they taking him with this 24th pick, Dak is gone. and it ain't no questions asked, ain't no question. He is gone after this season.
Because Dak Prescott ain't Aaron Rodgers. And if Aaron Rodgers knew that the clock was ticking once Jordan Love was drafted,
it's ticking.
Then the clock is ticking regardless.
Correct.
Whether they take a quarterback in the first round, second, third, fourth, whatever, the fact that they are not rushing to get this contract done and this extension done shows you the writing is on the wall. But to Shady's point, why shouldn't it be? This is a results-driven business. Yes, you got an All-Pro. Yes, you were second in MVP voting. That's great for the regular season. But you already checked the regular season accomplishments. Ben done that. You had the best season of your career and got washed at home by the Packers and Jordan Love. So the expectations should go up the more that you accomplish. The expectations now are that you have success in the postseason, which Dak hasn't had.
And that's why I think he's gone, because you get paid off the regular season.
So then if he's gone, if I were to concede that he is gone, then you for sure draft a first-round pick this year.
Told you to do it.
Because next year's draft at quarterback isn't going to be as deep, and the Cowboys are always going to draft 20 or after because Dak's a great regular season winner. So if he's gone, then you for sure draft a first-round quarterback this year when you likely will be able to get a Michael Penix caliber player, or if J.J. McCarthy slides and people think that he's good, you might be able to get that caliber player. Whereas next year, if you draft it in the 20s,
and Acho, it's going to go a little bit like this. Damn, man. The Dallas Cowboys have traded their first-round draft pick. For who? Dak Prescott in the first rounder to the Commanders. The 2024 first-round draft pick for the Dallas Cowboys is... That's what's going to happen. If they want to win, trade the pick, trade Dak. Go get your first rounder and stop playing.
what's up with the Hood Bible verse, man?
He's still thinking about
it.
No. You said end of the show.
End of the show.
God is good all the time. You know what I mean?
It's not a Hood Bible verse, Shady.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
It's not
I know that little one there.
God love me. How you know? Because the Bible tells me so. You thought of hood terms.
Shady, that's a song. That is a song.
That is a song.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.